Welcome to Carter's Retro Reviews. This time around we're reviewing, there we go, In the Hunt. But as Beamsy calls it, In the Cunt.
You know, I really didn't call it that. He's just making that up.
I am making that up.
Oh, your eyes.
It's true. But now that I was truthful about that and lying about something else, you just don't know what to think. Am I lying?
Avast.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Avast! You ruin everything! Fuck!
That was actually pretty cool. Right in the middle of your intro.
Right in the middle of my intro. Fucking everything up. I only bought this game recently, and in a way it was a foolish purchase. It's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination, but I did absolutely no research on the game itself. I only bought it on the price alone, which I got a US copy in mint condition for $35. The PAL copy at the time was a little bit over double this price. Price aside though, if I could sum this game up in a sentence, it would be this: Metal Slug Underwater. This game was created by IREM, who went on to do the Metal Slug series. But this came out way before. In fact, this game was made originally in 1993, well before the Saturn was released. It came out on the console anyway, because who the fuck would want money? Plus, this doesn't even look like the sort of game that could be run on the Genesis, 32X or Sega CD. This is not even tongue-in-cheek, because they released this game on the PlayStation 1 and PC as well. I don't remember this game coming out on any platform, and I sort of hope that this might end up as a hidden gem. It does seem to be a rare game of sorts in the sense that it will cost you a bit to buy, especially if you're after a Sega Saturn version of the game. The only underwater game that I can think of is Echo the Dolphin, which I played many years ago on the PC, and Endless Ocean, which was endlessly boring. So if those are your competition, you might be ahead of the 8-ball. The story is, an organisation known as the DAS, the Dark Anarchy Society, used a doomsday machine called the Yuguscuri. Did I even say that right? Look, I'll spell it. Yugusukure. Why do they have to make such hard words? I have enough trouble articulating anything with more than 5 letters in it. Anyway, they build this device on the South Pole, causing the polar ice caps to melt. The entire world was quickly flooded, but a few societies survived to build over the highest structures they could find and continue living. In this post-apocalyptic scenario, the DAS, who were prepared for this catastrophe, reigned supreme over the survivors with martial law and military weapons of extraordinary power. The remaining survivors, who were terrorized by the DAS, secretly organized a rebellion force using a newly developed submarine known as the Granvia. See? Granvia. How hard was it to come up with that word? Everyone can pronounce it. Now I'm just nitpicking. The Granvia's mission is to dive into DAS, enforced waters, territories, and eventually the DAS headquarters itself to destroy every single DAS weapon in sight. Simple as that. It's an underwater shooter, and regardless of what Beamsy had to say about it, I had fun, and anyone else who is even slightly interested in retro games would have a great time playing this too. We gave it several goes and then gave up on it because it looked like Beamsy was falling asleep while we were playing it. The 2-player does suffer a bit from slowdown, but nothing that takes away from the game itself. Considering the age of the game, by the time it turned up on the Saturn, it plays pretty damn well. Player 1 is a fun arcade-like shooter in the same vein as every other fucking game you've ever played. Nothing seems to differentiate between 1 and 2-player. It handles well, sound is average but acceptable, menus are fine, but even when I say that, I don't know many games where the menu is anything more than functional. Gameplay is pretty good. Music does the job, but just don't expect a raging hard-on when you hear the music. Reviewing a game like this is the fucking worst. Not because it's a bad game, no, far from it. It's a solid game, and yeah, it will come with a recommendation, but it makes for a boring review. There is fucking nothing terrible about this game. Whenever you play a game, it comes with its own expectations on what makes it enjoyable. And nearly almost all the fucking time, we can all agree on what makes something enjoyable with a specific genre. That is, if this sort of game is what you enjoy, this is surely going to meet that expectation. I can't sit here and talk about what is wrong with the game when it's definitely not worth tearing apart. Sure, it has a smidge of slowdown, but not enough to give a shit about. Would I recommend it? Yeah, I would. The story may be weak, but the gameplay is at the very least solid, and it is fun for both 1 and 2 player, even if the 2 player adds nothing except the existence of an additional player. I would even go as far to say that it's worth the $40 price tag. The downside? There is a total of 6 levels in the game, which would have been better if there were more levels. As always, thank you very much for watching. Click on the TV to see the last review, and click on the name underneath the television if you'd like to subscribe.